The rain hammered the tin roof of the old nursing home like 1,000 accusations, each drop a reminder that Christopher Hale had chosen the wrong path in life. He knelt beside Mr. Whitaker's bed, wiping the sweat from the man's fevered brow, whispering stories of baseball games from the 50s to chase away the shadows of dementia, until the door burst open and Jason's laugh echoed down the hall, sharp as a knife, calling out, "Hey, softy," still playing nurse to the fossils. In that instant, as Christopher's hand trembled on the cool linen, he felt the weight of every mocking glance from high school bleed into this moment. But he didn't look up. Instead, he met Jason's eyes with a quiet fire, the kind that had been smoldering since the day he realized love wasn't a punchline. Christopher had always been the boy who lingered after the bell, helping the janitor stack chairs or walking the crossing guard home when her arthritis flared. In the sprawling suburbs of Willow Creek, Ohio, where cornfields kissed the edges of cookie-cutter neighborhoods and Friday nights meant football under floodlights, he was the punchline at parties, the fairy who cried at Old Yeller and volunteered at the local shelter. "Why waste your prime on geezers, Chris?" His buddies would jeer, slapping his back too hard, their beers sloshing like false camaraderie. But Christopher saw the elders not as burdens, but as maps to who he'd become, a 28-year-old gay man with calloused hands and a heart stitched from quiet rebellions. The Willow Creek retirement village wasn't glamorous, faded wallpaper peeling like old skin, the scent of antiseptic mingling with overcooked pot roast, but it was home. Christopher had started there fresh out of community college, trading dreams of a city graphic design gig for steady shifts that let him afford his tiny apartment above the laundromat. His mom, a single parent who'd raised him on diner shifts and secondhand books, called it noble. His stepdad, a burly mechanic with a homophobic streak wider than the Ohio River, called it running from real life. Christopher didn't argue. He just drove his beat-up Ford Focus to work each dawn, radio tuned to classic rock, singing along to Springsteen like a prayer. That stormy Tuesday in late September, the air thick with the promise of autumn, Christopher was elbow-deep in Mr. Whitaker's chart when Nurse Ramirez buzzed him. "Room 12. Hale. New admit families en route." He smoothed his scrubs, the blue fabric worn thin at the elbows, and headed down the hall. Room 12 overlooked the wilted rose garden, where residents gathered on sunnier days to swap war stories. The man in the bed was Elias Grant, 82, with a shock of white hair and eyes like polished river stones, sharp, unyielding. His chart noted advanced Parkinson's, but the real story was in the margins. Widower, no kids, estranged from a brother decades ago. The door to the lobby swung open, admitting a gust of wind and a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a Patagonia catalog. Tall, broad-shouldered, with tousled dark hair and a jawline that could cut glass. Jason Reed, Elias's grandson from his late daughter's side, extended a hand that swallowed Christopher's whole. "Jason, thanks for taking Gramps in on short notice. LA traffic's a beast, but I flew commercial this time, no more private jets for this economy." His smile was easy, disarming, the kind that made Christopher's stomach flip in a way he hadn't felt since college crushes gone awry. Jason was 30, a tech consultant who'd built apps for Silicon Valley startups. His life a whirlwind of boardrooms and beach volleyball. Here in Willow Creek, he stuck out like a Ferrari in a parking lot of sedans. Christopher nodded, jotting notes. "He's settled. We'll start PT tomorrow, gentle, to build strength." Jason lingered, eyes scanning the room as if appraising real estate. "You do this full-time?" Must be rewarding. There was a lilt to his voice, a question wrapped in curiosity. Christopher shrugged, heat creeping up his neck. Pays the bills. And yet, it's more than that. Jason's gaze held, something unspoken flickering there. A spark, perhaps, or just the exhaustion of a red-eye flight. By evening, as Christopher clocked out, Jason was in the cafeteria, charming the bingo ladies with tales of Hollywood hikes. Christopher watched from the doorway, coffee in hand, wondering if kindness like Jason's was genuine or just another performance. Weeks blurred into routine. Elias warmed to Christopher slowly, like a kettle on low boil. Mornings meant sponge baths and stories. Elias had been a steelworker in Youngstown, fists scarred from factory fights, heartbroken when his wife, Ruth, died young from cancer. She had fire. Boy, Elias would rasp, fingers twitching against the tremors. Red hair like autumn leaves. Christopher listened, sharing bits of his own life, the coming out at 17 that shattered his stepdad's beer bottle against the wall, the pride parades in Columbus where he first kissed a boy under rainbow flags. Elias never judged. His nods were sacraments. Jason visited weekends, flying in from LA, always with takeout from fancy chains Christopher had only seen on TV. Sushi for the soul, Jason quipped one Saturday, unwrapping salmon rolls on Elias's tray table. Christopher joined them, cross-legged on the linoleum, laughing as Elias mangled chopsticks. Jason's presence was magnetic, stories of coding marathons, failed dates with influencers, the ache of losing his mom to the same cancer that took Ruth. Gramps is all I've got left, Jason admitted one night, after Elias dozed off. They were in the garden, fireflies dancing like errant stars, the air heavy with jasmine. Christopher's pulse thrummed. Family's messy, but worth it. Jason turned, his hand brushing Christopher's knee. Accidental? Intentional? The touch lingered. Electric. It started innocently. Texts about Elias's progress. Memes about nursing home hijinks. Then coffee runs that stretched into walks along the creek, where willow branches trailed like lovers' fingers in the water. Jason opened up about his ex, a venture capitalist who'd called him too soft for the cutthroat valley. I build things that connect people, but mine's always breaking. Christopher shared his own scars, the ex-boyfriend in Cleveland who ghosted after Christopher chose stability over spontaneity. I get called a caretaker too much. Like it's a flaw. Jason's eyes softened. It's your strength, Chris. In a world that chews up the kind ones. By Halloween, the spark ignited. The home hosted a pumpkin carving contest. Orange guts everywhere, laughter echoing off cinderblock walls. Jason arrived in a flannel shirt, axe in hand like Paul Bunyan, and pulled Christopher into a supply closet amid the chaos. Just to grab more knives, he whispered, but his lips found Christopher's instead. It was tentative at first, then fierce. Hands in hair, breaths mingling like secrets finally spoken. I've wanted this since day one, Jason murmured against his neck. Christopher pulled back, heart pounding. Elias. Your job. Jason grinned, that boyish flash. Screw it. This is real. Fall deepened, leaves carpeting the streets in crimson and gold. Their stolen moments piled like cordwood. Midnight drives to the quarry, where they'd park and talk until dawn. Jason's head on Christopher's lap. Lazy Sundays in Christopher's apartment, cooking chili from his mom's recipe. Jason's laughter filling the space like sunlight. Love bloomed quiet, profound, no grand gestures, just the poetry of presence. Christopher introduced Jason to his mom over potluck pie. She hugged him fierce, whispering, "He needs someone who sees him." Jason met Christopher's friends at a dive bar trivia night, enduring good-natured ribs about robbing the cradle of compassion. For the first time, Christopher felt seen, not as the gay kid who cared too much, but as a man worthy of reckless hearts. But shadows gathered. Elias's health dipped. Nights of delirium where he'd clutch Christopher's sleeve, muttering about the letter and what Henry did. Henry, Elias's brother, long estranged, living in a mansion on the hill overlooking town. Rumors swirled. Old money from steel mills, a falling out over inheritance when Ruth died. Jason dismissed it. Gramps rambles. Focus on now. Yet Christopher noticed the strain in Jason's calls, the hushed arguments with lawyers, the way his phone buzzed incessantly. One evening, as snow dusted the windows, Elias seized Christopher's hand. "The box. Under the floorboards. Promise me. Tell no one but you can fix it." His eyes cleared for a heartbeat, pleading. Christopher promised, heart heavy. That night, after lights out, he pried up the loose board in Elias's room, flashlight beam cutting the dark. A tin box, rusted at the edges, held yellowed envelopes and a deed, property papers dated 1952, signed over to Henry under duress, witness signatures forged. A letter from Ruth, scrawled in fading ink. "Elias, if I go, fight for our home. Henry wants it all. Don't let him bury us." Christopher's stomach churned. This wasn't just family lore. It was theft. A betrayal that had left Elias penniless, forcing him into factories while Henry built an empire. He confronted Jason the next morning in the parking lot, snowflakes melting on their lashes. "Your great-uncle stole everything." Elias knew. It's why he cut ties. Jason's face paled, then hardened. "You went through his stuff? That's private, Chris." Defensiveness laced his words, a wall slamming down. Christopher pressed the letter into his hand. "It's not private anymore. This could change everything. Get Elias his due." Jason crumpled it, eyes flashing. "You think you're the hero? Digging up graves for what, your savior complex? My family's complicated enough without you playing detective." The words landed like punches. Christopher reeled, the mockery from his past echoing in Jason's tone. "I'm trying to help. For him. For us." Jason turned away, shoulders rigid. "Us? This was fun. But you're too deep in this place. I need someone who gets the real world." He drove off, tires spinning slush, leaving Christopher in the cold, the letter's edges cutting his palm. Betrayal festered. Jason's visits dwindled to duty calls, his charm curdled into curt nods. Whispers spread through the home, Jason telling Nurse Ramirez that Christopher was overstepping, a busybody with an agenda. The elders noticed. Mrs. Patel pulled him aside one afternoon, her sorry whispering, "Beta, kindness is your armor. Don't let fools dent it." But doubt crept in. Was he the fool, meddling in legacies not his own? His mom saw the hollows under his eyes. Love hurts, but truth heals. Fight for it. Christmas loomed, lights strung like fragile hopes. Elias rallied enough for a family dinner, turkey from the cafeteria, Jason arriving late with gifts wrapped in haste. Tension crackled like static. Under the table, Christopher's knee brushed Jason's. A flinch, then nothing. As carols played on a tinny radio, Elias raised his glass with trembling hand. To kin, the blood and the chosen. His gaze locked on Christopher, then Jason, heavy with unspoken pleas. That night, alone in his apartment, Christopher pored over the documents by lamplight. Public records online confirmed it. Henry's expansion of the mill had swallowed Elias's plot, rezoned overnight. No compensation, no trace. A deeper dive, old news clippings scanned from the library, revealed payoffs to officials, whispers of blackmail. Henry's empire rested on Elias's stolen ground. Christopher's hands shook as he drafted an email to a pro bono lawyer in Columbus, attaching scans. For Elias, he typed. Justice delayed is justice denied. Word leaked how Christopher never knew. Perhaps a careless forward, or Jason's probing questions to Elias. By New Year's, Henry himself appeared at the home, a silver-haired titan in a cashmere coat, flanked by attorneys. My brother's delusions, he boomed, voice like grinding gears. Jason stood beside him, arms crossed, the man Christopher loved now a stranger in Ally's clothing. Chris, drop it, Jason hissed in the hallway. Henry's offering settlement, enough for Gramps' care forever. Why ruin that? Ruin? Christopher's voice cracked. This isn't about money. It's about righting a wrong. Henry's laugh was oil slick. Boy, life's not fairy tales. Elias was weak, always was. I built this town. The dismissal stung deeper than any slur. It reduced Elias to rubble, Christopher to a naive child. Jason pulled him aside. I's pleading now. Please. For me. Henry's got connections, could cost you your job, your life here. The betrayal crystallized. Jason, torn between blood and heart, had chosen legacy over love. Christopher walked out into the sleet, chest tight. For days, he called in sick, curled in bed with Springsteen's The River on loop, lyrics like laments. His friends rallied, trivia nights turned therapy sessions, beers swapped for brutal honesty. He's scared. Man, his buddy Tyler said, clapping his shoulder. Fear makes cowards of us all. But Christopher's fire reignited in the quiet. Emails to journalists. A petition circulated among elders' families. We've been mocked for caring, he wrote. Time to roar. Climax crashed in February, a blizzard burying Willow Creek in white silence. Henry filed an injunction, painting Christopher as a stalker, the local paper running a hit piece. Nurse's nosy crusade threatens local legacy. Jason called. Voice raw. You win. Elias knows, told me everything. Henry's furious. Desperation edged his words. That night, the home's power flickered out. Christopher, on shift, found Elias in distress, monitors beeping wildly. In the chaos, Henry stormed in, demanding the box, family business. But Jason blocked him, face ashen. No, uncle. It's over. The truth unraveled in the generator-lit lobby. Elias, propped in a wheelchair, recounting the night in 52, Ruth dying. Henry forging the deed while he grieved, whispering threats of disownment. Reporters, tipped by Christopher's petition, swarmed outside. Flashes pierced the storm. Henry blustered, then crumbled, confessing in sobs to the camera. I was young, scared. Took what I thought was mine. Jason knelt by Elias, tears carving paths in the frost. "I'm sorry, Gramps, for everything." In the aftermath, as plows cleared the roads, Christopher stood apart, watching paramedics wheel Elias to a better facility, funded now by Henry's restitution. The town buzzed. Headlines hailed Christopher as the kind-hearted crusader. Mockery flipped to murmurs of respect. Jason found him in the garden, roses pushing through snow like stubborn hope. "I betrayed you," Jason said, voice breaking. "Chose fear over us. Can you forgive a fool?" Christopher's heart ached, a tapestry of pain and possibility. He thought of the elders' stories, of love as the ultimate rebellion. "Forgiveness isn't free," he replied, stepping closer. "But kindness? That's infinite." Their kiss was salt-tinged, redemption in the thaw, a promise not of perfection, but of showing up, scars and all. Spring unfurled in Willow Creek, dogwoods blooming pink against blue skies. Christopher stayed at the home, shifts lighter now with volunteers inspired by his stand. Elias thrived in his new wing, video calls filled with grandson updates. Jason relocated, trading LA glamour for Midwest roots, starting a nonprofit app connecting elders with caregivers. Dates became routines, picnics by the creek, hands intertwined like roots. One evening, as fireflies returned, Jason proposed not with rings, but a shared ledger of dreams. A house with a garden for Elias's visits, adoptions planned for kids who'd need their kind of care. Christopher said yes, tears blurring the stars. In America's heartland, where rivers carve canyons of time, they built a family not of blood, but of chosen truths, proof that the mocked could mend what the mighty broke. The end came gentle, humanistic. Elias passed that summer, surrounded by laughter, his last words a blessing on the two men holding his hands. "You fixed us," he whispered. At the funeral, under willows weeping, Christopher and Jason scattered ashes by the creek, toasting to legacies reclaimed. Mockery faded to memory, kindness eternal. Yet even in victory, echoes lingered. Christopher woke some nights, Jason's arm heavy across his chest, replaying the blizzard's fury, not the storm outside, but the one that had raged within. Willow Creek had shifted subtly. Neighbors who once averted eyes now waved from porches. The diner renaming its apple pie special Hale's Heartbreaker in wry tribute. But scars don't fade like headlines. Jason threw himself into work, coding late into nights, his laughter rarer, edged with a brittleness Christopher recognized as guilt's residue. Mornings, they'd linger over coffee, steam curling like unspoken fears. "You think they whisper still?" Jason asked one dawn, staring at the mug's rim. Christopher traced the vein on Jason's wrist, pulse steady as a metronome. "Let M. We know the score." It was their mantra, borrowed from Elias's baseball tales. Keep swinging, even when the crowd boos. But privately, Christopher journaled it out. Entries on betrayal's anatomy, how love's blade twists deepest when wielded by the beloved. His mom, ever the sage, mailed care packages of her famous lemon bars with notes. "Healing's a marathon, kiddo. Run your pace." Spring deepened into summer's haze, the air thick with cut grass and grill smoke. The home buzzed with new life. A wing renovation funded by Henry's anonymous donation. Rooms brightened with skylights and murals of Ohio fields. Christopher led tours for school groups, kids wide-eyed at stories of the guy who saved the day. He downplayed it, focusing on the elders, Mrs. Patel teaching Hindi songs, Mr. Whitaker's dementia eased by puzzle nights. Jason joined sometimes, his tech savvy turning clunky call systems into seamless portals for far-flung families. Their romance, once stolen and fervent, settled into domestic poetry. Evenings meant baseball on the radio, Jason's head in Christopher's lap as innings unfolded like plot twists. "Remember that hook?" Jason murmured during a rain delay, fingers interlacing. Christopher chuckled, the memory a warm ache. 3 pitches, and you were mine. But intimacy revealed fractures. Jason's flinches at mentions of Henry, the way he'd pace during calls from LA contacts sniffing for scandal. "What if it all unravels?" he'd confess in the dark. Christopher held him then, whispering, "We rebuild." Together, a ripple came in July, heat wave wilting the roses. Henry reached out, a letter, handwritten on heavy stock, arriving like contrition's ghost. "I've deeded the old mill plot back to Elias's trust. For the boy who remembered." Enclosed, keys to a restored cottage on the creek. Ruth's original home, untouched since the 50s. Jason stared at it during dinner, fork suspended. "He thinks this buys absolution?" Bitterness laced his tone. But Christopher saw the crack, the boy who'd idolized his great-uncle, now seeing the man. "Maybe it's a start," Christopher said softly. "Forgiveness isn't erasure. It's addition." They drove out that weekend, the cottage a time capsule. Gingham curtains yellowed, furniture dusted under sheets. Jason wandered rooms like a prodigal, touching Ruth's quilt, Elias's tool bench. In the attic, amid moth-eaten boxes, they found photos, Elias young and grinning, arm around Henry, both in overalls, dreams stitched in denim. "Brothers," Jason breathed, a sob catching. Christopher wrapped arms around him from behind, chin on shoulder. "They were. Once." Tears fell, cathartic, as thunder rumbled distant, a storm not of rage, but release. Back in town, momentum built. Christopher's story caught a podcaster's ear, a queer activist from Cleveland, interviewing him on Hidden Heroes, airing nationwide. It painted not just the uncover, but the heart, a gay man's quiet war against erasure, love as the ultimate archive. Listeners flooded the home with cards, donations. Jason's app launched to acclaim, beta tested by residents. Pride Month lingered late that year, rainbow flags fluttering from porches. Willow Creek's first float in the county parade, a hay wagon decked with elders waving from wheelchairs. Yet conflict simmered beneath. Jason's ex resurfaced via email, a slick apology laced with barbs. "Heard you're playing house in Hicksville." "Sure, it's enough." Jason deleted it, but the seed sprouted doubt. Late one night, after a launch party where tech bros from Columbus toasted too loudly, Jason turned accusatory. "You love this, the savior spotlight. What if I can't keep up?" Christopher's temper flared, rare as a comet. "This isn't about spotlights. It's about us choosing each other. Every damn day." Words escalated. Old wounds ripped. Jason's betrayal flung like shrapnel. Christopher's meddling a retort. Silence followed, heavy as humidity. Morning brought regret. Jason left flowers on the nightstand, wild asters from the creek. Note simple, "I choose you." Always. They talked it out on the porch swing, creaking under weight of honesty. I'm scared of losing you to this place, Jason admitted. The elders, the fight, it's noble, but exhausting. Christopher nodded. Vulnerability a bridge. And I'm scared you'll bolt back to LA, chasing shiny things, packed sealed, therapy sessions in town, a queer counselor who unpacked betrayals like tangled yarn. Progress was incremental, dates to Cincinnati's symphony, where violins wept what words couldn't. August brought Elias's memorial garden dedication, a sun-dappled ceremony by the creek. Townsfolk gathered, Henry in the back row, face gaunt but present. Speeches flowed, Christopher's on kindness as revolution, Jason's on legacies reclaimed. As soil turned for the plaque, Elias Grant, father, fighter, forever, Henry approached, hand extended. You were right, son, no more. Jason shook it, brief, then pulled away. Christopher watched, pride swelling, not triumph, but grace. Fall whispered in, leaves turning like pages. Their love, tempered by fire, glowed steadier. Christopher sketched designs for the cottage, expanding for community events, elder art classes. Jason coded the booking system, fingers flying. One crisp evening, hiking the quarry trail, Jason stopped, breath fogging. Marry me? Not today, but when we're ready. Build that life, the one with kids. Chaos. Us. Christopher's yes was a laugh. Hiss. The world blurring gold. Winter's approach held no dread now. Holiday lights twinkled early. The home's tree a forest of ornaments from residents' pasts. Christopher and Jason hosted his mom, her lemon bars joined by Jason's experimental eggnog. Laughter filled the apartment, walls echoing with toasts to what endured. In quiet moments, Christopher reflected. Mocked once for caring, he'd uncovered not just truth, but self, a man whose heart, bruised but boundless, saved more than a family. Saved him. As snow fell soft that Christmas Eve, they stood at the window, arms entwined. To us, Jason murmured. Christopher smiled, the hook of their story now a lifeline. To all the tomorrows, but tomorrows, Christopher learned, were fragile as frost. January's chill bit deep, the new year dawning with a call that shattered the idyll. Henry's stroke, sudden and severe, landing him in the county hospital across town. Jason paced the apartment, phone glued to ear, voice a tightrope of concern and resentment. He wants to see me. Says it's urgent about the trust. Christopher brewed tea, hands steady though his mind raced. Go. Hear him out. Closure's a gift. Even bitter. The drive to the hospital was silent, wipers slapping rhythm against sleet. Jason gripped the wheel white-knuckled, jaw set like Elias in old photos. Christopher's role now was anchor, quiet presence, the one who unpacked bags in sterile waiting rooms, fetched vending machine coffee laced with creamer. Henry lay diminished, tubes snaking like accusations, his once booming voice a rasp. Boy! The papers. All there. For Elias's line, his eyes, milky with regret, flicked to Christopher. You fixed what I broke. Thank you. Jason nodded curtly, but as they left, he slumped against the elevator wall. He apologized. For Mom. For Gramps. Everything. Tears welled. Unbidden. In the parking lot, Christopher pulled him close, rain pattering on the car roof like hesitant applause. It's okay to grieve the man he could have been. That night, they burned the letter in the fireplace. Henry's confession, pages curling to ash, a ritual of release. Willow Creek thawed unevenly, mud season mirroring their moods. The cottage renovation kicked off, contractors hammering life into bones. Christopher oversaw paint choices, soft blues evoking creek waters, while Jason integrated smart tech for accessibility. Volunteers swelled. Queer youth from Columbus, elders' grandkids, a tapestry of unlikely allies. One afternoon, amid sawdust and laughter, a young man named Alex approached Christopher, eyes earnest. "Your story? It gave me courage to come out." "Thanks." The impact rippled. Humanistic waves. Not glory, but quiet shifts in souls. Yet romance demanded tending. Jason's app exploded, downloads surging, investors circling from afar. Late calls pulled him away, screens glowing blue in the dark. Christopher felt the drift, a subtle betrayal of time. "Miss you," he'd text during shifts, heart emojis masking ache. Jason replied with apologies. Flowers delivered to the home, roses, ironic nod to the garden. Date nights reclaimed ground, a road trip to Hocking Hills, cabins nestled in ancient woods, where they hike trails hand in hand, whispers lost in wind. There, under canopy of maples shedding red confetti, conflict crested anew. Around a campfire, sparks dancing like fireflies, Jason confessed, LA's calling back. Big offer, head of development. We could move, start fresh. Christopher's fork paused mid-bite of Esmores, gooey sweetness turning ash. Fresh? Here we've built roots, Elias's trust. The home. Us. Jason's eyes pleaded. It's opportunity. For stability. Kids one day. The word kids hung. A dream deferred. Argument brewed slow, then boiled. Christopher accusing escape. Jason defending ambition. You're clipping my wings. Can't you see? Stars wheeled overhead as they sat apart. Fire dying to embers. Christopher's mind replayed hooks, the rain-slick confrontation, the blizzard's truth. Love wasn't linear. It looped, testing resolve. Dawn brought olive branches. Jason's hand extended across dewy grass. I won't go without you. But we need to dream bigger, together. Compromise forged. Jason negotiated remote, quarterly trips to LA, the cottage as base. Hugs sealed it, fierce and forgiving. Spring's renewal mirrored their pact. Pride swelled regional. Willow Creek's parade drawing crowds from Cincinnati. Christopher and Jason marched arm in arm, elders waving from the float, rainbow sashes fluttering like flags of surrender to joy. Media followed, a local news segment, Love After the Storm, capturing their kiss under confetti rain. Viewers wrote in stories of hidden loves, betrayals mended. Humanistic threads wove tighter, proving one heart's courage could thread a community's. Elias's trust formalized that June. Funds earmarked for scholarships, queer youth in care fields, elders tech training. At the signing, Henry's lawyer handed over checks, a final nod from the patriarch, who lingered in rehab, penitent letters exchanged with Jason. He's changing, Jason marveled over dinner, candlelight gilding his face. Christopher squeezed his hand. Like us. Summer hummed with heat and harvest. The cottage opened doors. First event. A storytelling night under string lights. Elders sharing tales of loves lost and found. Christopher emceed. Voice steady. Jason's app streaming live for distant kin. Attendees lingered. Conversations blooming like night jasmine. One couple, gray-haired and entwined, pulled Jason aside. Your story reminded us why we fought 50 years ago, in a town not so different. Inspiration circled back, a virtuous loop. Yet whispers of doubt persisted. Jason's ex emailed again, this time public, a snide tweet thread mocking small-town savior syndrome. Screenshots circulated, barbs landing like needles. Jason raged privately, deleting accounts, but Christopher saw the flinch. He's poison, Christopher soothed, but inside, old mockery echoed, soft, unworthy. They countered with action, a getaway to Lake Erie, sands silver under moon, where waves lapped confessions. You're my anchor, Jason vowed, toes buried in cool dunes. Christopher's reply, and you're my sail. Fall painted the creek in fire, harvest moons rising fat. The home's anniversary gala packed the hall, balloons, big band tunes, Jason DJing from a laptop. Christopher danced with Mrs. Patel, twirls evoking her youth in Mumbai, then claimed Jason for a slow sway to At Last. Whispers in his ear, forever, Jason's murmur, and always, vows unspoken, but etched. As leaves fell, Christopher reflected in his journal. Betrayal's sting had sharpened their bond, turning vulnerability to velvet strength. Mocked no more, he stood taller, kindness not curse, but compass. With Jason beside, the world felt navigable, a map of mercies. Winter's hush approached, holidays twinkling. They decorated the cottage, tinsel tangling like playful arguments. Mom arrived, bearing pies and wisdom. Loves the elder you care for, feed it daily. Laughter rang, future sketched in crayon bright. Adoptions pursued, a family of their making. One snow-dusted eve, by the fire, Jason pulled a box from his pocket. Not grand, but earnest, twin rings, simple silver etched with willows. Partners, in all ways, Christopher's yes blurred tears, a kiss sealing fates. In America's weave of heartaches and hopes, they'd uncovered not just truth, but each other, saving a family, one kind act at a time. The rings gleamed like promises kept, slipped on during a dawn ceremony at the creek. Just them, Mom officiating with a borrowed stole from her church friend, the water-gurgling benediction. No fanfare, no photos, just vows exchanged in mist. Jason's voice cracking on, through betrayals and beyond. Christopher steady with, in kindness, we conquer. Willow Creek woke to their news via a quiet post on the home's bulletin. 2 hearts, 1 home, cards poured in. Elders' shaky scripts wishing joy. Domesticity deepened, a rhythm as natural as breathing. Mornings, Christopher's shifts starting with coffee kisses, Jason's remote meetings buffered by breakfast burritos. Evenings, the cottage's kitchen alive with experiments, Jason's fusion tacos meeting Christopher's Midwestern meatloaf, laughter over spills. The home remained anchor. Christopher mentored a new aide, a trans kid named Riley Fresh from foster care, sharing stories of resilience. You make this place magic, Riley said, eyes shining. Christopher waved it off, but inside, warmth bloomed, proof his path mattered. Jason's app evolved. ElderLink now with forums for queer seniors, virtual pride chats bridging isolations. Success brought pressures, investor pitches via Zoom, late-night tweaks that left Jason hollow-eyed. "It's flying," he'd say, but Christopher heard the undertow, fear of failure, echoes of his ex's jabs. They navigated with check-ins, walks where words untangled like vines. "You're enough," Christopher affirmed, hand in hand. Jason's squeeze. "Because of you, spring's thaw unearthed old roots." Henry's recovery plateaued. Jason visited weekly, bridging chasms with patience Christopher admired. One trip, Henry gifted a trunk of artifacts, Ruth's jewelry. Elias's war letters, whispering, "For the legacy you two guard." Tears fell, generational wounds salved. Back home, they pored over relics, stories unfolding like petals. A locket with miniature portraits, Elias and Ruth Young, defiant. "This is us," Jason said, fastening it around Christopher's neck. Hearts unbroken, conflict stirred subtly, a summer storm brewing. The town council eyed the mill plot for development, a strip mall, erasing history for commerce. Petitions flew. Christopher rallied elders, voices amplified through Jason's app. Hearings packed the hall, air thick with debate. Henry testified, frail but fierce, that land's blood. Honor it. His support swayed votes, but not without cost. Slurs scrawled on signs. Meddler aimed at Christopher, reviving high school ghosts. Jason shielded him, deleting hate mails, but tension frayed threads. "Why fight every battle?" Jason snapped after a particularly vile call. Christopher's retort, "Because silence buries us." Sleepless nights followed, couch as temporary throne. Mom mediated over tea, her no-nonsense. Storms pass if you batten together. Reconciliation came in the garden. Knees in dirt, planting perennials. "I fight for you," Christopher confessed. Jason's apology, "and I for us." Summer's zenith brought triumph. Council vote preserved the plot as a heritage park. Benches for stories, paths for wheelchairs. Dedication drew crowds. Rainbow ribbons tying oaks. Speeches lauded unity. Christopher's closed with humanism's core. "We save families not with swords, but stories, passed hand to hand." Jason's arm around him, pride electric. Yet personal tempests loomed. Jason's fertility tests, pursuit of surrogacy, revealed hurdles, numbers stark as winter branches. Consultations in Cleveland, doctors' offices echoing doubts. "What if we can't?" Jason voiced in the car, rain lashing. Christopher's hand on thigh. "Then we adopt. Foster. Love finds ways." But grief shadowed, intimacy strained by what-ifs. Therapy unpacked it. Sessions raw. Jason's fear of inadequacy. Christopher's of loss. Breakthroughs came slow. A counselor's prompt yielding tears. "You're my family already." Fall's palette framed renewal. They fostered first. A teen named Mateo, kicked out for being gay. Eyes wary but warming to PB&J nights and quarry swims. Chaos ensued. Laundry piles. Midnight talks on identity. Jason bonded over video games. Christopher over books. "This is it," Jason whispered one night, Mateo asleep between them on the couch. Proof. Family forged in fractures. Holidays amplified joys. Thanksgiving at the cottage. Table groaning with mom's turkey. Henry's quiet addition, his first shared meal in years. Toasts clinked to forgiveness. Laughter bridged silences. Christmas. Mateo's first tree. Ornaments from elders. lights reflecting wide smiles. New Year's Eve. Under fireworks, Jason pulled Christopher close. To expansions of heart, home, us, winter wrapped gentle. The home's winter fair sparkled, snowmen guarding booths. Christopher manned storytelling. Jason live-streamed. A letter arrived from Alex, now out and thriving. Your kindness saved me, ripples eternal. As blizzards howled, they hunkered. Mateo burrowed in blankets. Stories by firelight, Elias's, Henry's, their own. Betrayal scar faded to faint line. Love's ink indelible. Mocked once, Christopher now mentored multitudes. Kindness a legacy, saving families in echoes. Spring beckoned early, buds insistent. Surrogacy hopes flickered green, adoptions filed. Life, dramatic in its tenderness, unfolded. Jason's app hit 1 million users, but success bowed to suppers. One dawn, creekside, rings glinting, Christopher mused. We uncovered truth, but built wonder. Jason's kiss, our greatest story. Wonders, however, demanded vigilance. As cherry blossoms dusted the creek, a shadow fell. The app's growth attracted sharks. A VC firm from San Francisco, suits sharp as scalpels, offering buyout millions. Jason's excitement crackled over dinner, eyes alight. This could fund everything Mateo's college. Our house edition. Christopher's fork paused, salmon flaking untouched. But your vision? Elder Link's soul. It's for people, not profit. Debate simmered. Jason defending scalability. Christopher integrity. Nights stretched taut. Mateo sensing vibes. Retreating to headphones. You guys okay? His quiet ask pierced. Jason ruffled hair. Just grown-up stuff. Kiddo. But fractures showed. Jason's late zooms. Christopher's solitary shifts. The bed a chasm. Mom visited. Pies cooling on counters. Her red direct. Don't let ambition eclipse what matters. Echoes of Elias. Build, but with heart. The pitch meeting loomed in Columbus. Jason prepping slides till dawn. Christopher tagged along. Moral compass in passenger seat. Conference room gleamed sterile. VC's smiles predatory. Great product. Lead suit purred. But monetize harder ads. Data shares. Jason faltered, glancing at Christopher's steady gaze. Post-meeting. In the hotel bar. Bourbon loosening tongues. They'd gut it. Jason's admission. Defeated. Christopher's hand over his. Then walk. You're the builder. He did, politely declining. Countering with ethical partners. Backlash hit. Tweets from jilted investors. Naive idealist tanks startup. Mockery's familiar sting. Jason withdrew. Doubting. Christopher countered with action. Home bake sale for app upgrades. Elders icing cookies with slogans. Link hearts. Not wallets. Community rallied. Funds flowed grassroots. Jason resurfaced. Fortified. We did it our way. Summer's heat tested further. Mateo's school drama, bullies targeting his weird family, erupted in a call from principal. Jason stormed meetings. Advocate fierce. Christopher soothed after. Ice cream melting on cones. Families like ours? They scare 'em, Mateo muttered. Jason's vow. We'll show 'em strength. Therapy adapted. Family sessions weaving bonds tighter. Progress. Mateo's first pride pin. Worn proud. Henry's decline accelerated. Hospice whispers. Jason's vigils lengthened, Christopher shuttling meals, Mateo drawing cards. One lucid afternoon, Henry beckoned Christopher alone. "You saw me clear, thief, but trying." Confession spilled. Deeper sins, a hidden child from youth, adopted out in shame. Find her? For Elias's sake. Papers pressed into hand, clues to a daughter in Pittsburgh. Betrayal's layers peeled. Humanistic plea. They drove that weekend, Mateo in tow for distraction, arcades, bridges spanning rivers like veins. The woman, Lena, 55, ran a bookstore, shelves groaning with queer lit. Recognition dawned slow, then tears. Dad. Embrace seismic. Stories tumbling. Abandonment's ache. Henry's letters unsent. Reunion brewed cautious. Jason mediated, bridging decades. "He wants amends," Jason said. Lena's nod. Time heals. If given. Fall's harvest brought bounty. Lena visited the cottage. Mateo charming with ghost stories. Laughter filling rafters. Henry passed peacefully. Service blending faiths. Elias's Methodist hymns. Ruth's Jewish candles. Eulogy Jason's. He fell short, but rose in regret. Graveside. Family whole. Christopher's arm around Jason. Lena's hand in Mateo's. Ashes scattered at the mill plot. Now park benches etched with names. Winter's grip softened by gratitude. Holidays expanded. Lena's lax joining mom's pie. Toasts to found kin. Elderlink thrived indie. Features for reunions like theirs. One snowy night, post-fair, Jason pulled Christopher to the attic. Boxes of future. Adoption papers for a sibling set. Dreams documented. Yet climax loomed unbidden. Spring floods swelled the creek, eroding banks, threatening the cottage. Evacuations swirled. Home residents shuttled. Christopher coordinated chaos. Jason coding emergency alerts via app. Water lapped foundations. Night vigils tense. "Hold the line," Jason urged. Sandbags heavy. Dawn broke clear. Flood receding, home spared. But lessons etched. Vulnerability's edge sharpens love. Recovery bonded deeper. Rebuilds community-led. Volunteers from Pride allies. Mateo thrived. School counselor praising resilience. Surrogacy greenlit. A match found, hope's quiet pulse. Summer's solstice. Park dedication redux. Henry's name added. Redeemed. Speeches humanistic. Christopher's on floods of feeling. Jason's on flows of forgiveness. Dance followed. Mateo twirling Lena. Laughter liquid. As leaves turned, reflections deepened. Journal entries Christopher's. Betrayal's forge had hammered gold. Family multifaceted. Love labyrinthine but luminous. Mocked paths led here. Savior not solitary, but shared. Winter waned. Rings warmer with wear. One eve. Creek frozen silver. Jason knelt anew, not proposal, but pledge. Through floods and falls. Your home. Christopher's echo. And you. My truth. Life's drama. Emotional tapestry. Romantic reel unspooled in kindness's light. Tales unspool, but threads persist. As dogwoods bloomed anew, the surrogacy journey crested. Ultrasound grainy. Heartbeat flutter. A girl. Do fall. Joy tempered caution. Jason's hand on Christopher's belly during scans. Mateo's sketches of Sissy adorning fridge. Preparations hummed. Nursery painted sage. bookshelves stocked with tales of diverse families. Lena contributed heirlooms, Ruth's blanket, soft as memory. Yet emotions ebbed dramatic. Jason's doubts surfaced in whispers. What if I'm not enough dad? Echoes of Henry's shadow. Christopher countered with stories, Elias's quiet provisions, his own mom's grit. We learn loving, therapy anchored, sessions laced with laughter as Mateo role-played Big Brother antics. Summer's Zenith hosted a baby shower hybrid, home elders crafting mobiles, pride friends grilling. Henry's trust funding scholarships announced. Toasts overflowed, till legacies lived forward. Lena's gift, a locket duplicate, photos inside new family nucleus. Fall's approach carried conflict's whisper. Flood scars lingered. A developer sued over park preservation, claiming economic harm. Court dates loomed. Lawyers funded by community. Christopher testified, voice steady. This land holds our stories. Erase it. Erase us. Jason streamed hearings, app mobilizing supporters. Verdict. Preservation upheld. But toll emotional nights of what-ifs. Jason's insomnia, Christopher's fatigue. Mateo absorbed it. School essay on family floods winning praise. You guys are heroes, he said. Hug fierce. Reprieve came in Harvest Fest. Hayrides under moons. Dances where Christopher and Jason swayed. Baby kicks punctuating steps. October birthed Amelia Ruth. Tiny, fierce cry echoing cottage beams. Labor marathon. Jason's hand crushed in Christopher's grip. Mom's coaching. Lena's prayers. First hold. Jason's tears. She's perfect. Mateo cooed. My sissy. Homecoming parade of sorts. Elders lining drive. Balloons bobbing. Parenthood's romance. Sleepless hazes. Midnight feeds to lullabies. Jason's coding lullabies. Christopher's story hours. Betrayals past paled to this intimacy. Love's raw, unfiltered. Amelia's eyes, green as Christopher's, held worlds. Winter's hush cradled them. Holidays magical. Amelia's first tree. Mateo's ornaments joined by knitted booties. Elder visits. Mrs. Patel's songs. Mr. Whitaker's gentle rocks. Elderlink's holiday drive. Toys for foster queer youth. Ripples of their reach. Spring's renewal. Amelia's coos. First steps wobbly toward creek. Park benches hosted picnics. Lena's stories blending with Elias's. Henry's grave visited. Flowers laid. Forgiveness full circle. Yet humanism's depth. Not all happy. A resident passed. Christopher's eulogy tear-streaked. Jason's arm steadfast. We carry on, he whispered. Lessons layered. Kindness combats loss. Love mends multiplicities. Summer returned. Anniversary marked creekside. Vows renewed. Kids splashing. Family vast. Reflections. Mocked for caring. Christopher uncovered truths plural. Familial. Self. Communal. Jason's toast. To the kind who stay. Years blurred montage. Amelia's first pride. Mateo's graduation speech citing Two Dads drama. Adoption's expanding brood. Cottage grew. Home endured. App global. In twilight rambles. Hands linked. Christopher mused. Our hook? That rain. That laugh. Led here. Jason's smile. Best plot twist. Ending not finale. But ellipsis human. Hopeful. Hearts entwined. In America's soul. Where elders whisper and youth rise. They saved a family. There's eternally